Hello, young people out there. My name's Anthony McGowan, and as a Christmas treat, I'm going to read to you from my book, I Killed Father Christmas. Now, I only can find the French version, which is called J'ai tué la Père Noël, or indeed the Russian version, which is called A Ruskia Truskia, a Fatheruskia Christmaski. But I'm not going to read actually either of those two languages. I'm going to read a bit in English. So here we go. It's just the first half because it's too long otherwise. Chapter 1. My list. It was Christmas Eve and Mum and Dad were fighting again. Mum shouted at Dad and Dad shouted at Mum. I put the pillow over my head and tried to shut out the sound. I felt bad because I was to blame. It was my fault. I'd been naughty. Dad said I was greedy because my list for Father Christmas was so long. He said Father Christmas and the reindeer would be tired out if they had to carry all that stuff. He said my extra presents would mean Father Christmas might not be able to reach the poor children in far-off countries. And then he said Father Christmas didn't have very much money to spend on presents this year because the economy was so bad and nobody could be sure of their job anymore. I don't care about poor children or the economy, I said. I want a robot and a race car and a helicopter that really flies. But now I didn't care about my list. All I wanted was for my mum and dad to stop fighting. And then I heard the words that made me sadder than a bird without a nest or a puppy without a tail to wag. You've killed Christmas. I didn't understand what Mum meant. How can you kill Christmas, I thought. It wasn't alive. How can you kill something that isn't alive? And then I knew what Mum meant. She hadn't been talking to me. She meant that Dad had killed Father Christmas. I realised something else, even if I couldn't really explain why. It was my fault. It was my fault that Dad had killed Father Christmas. And that meant that I had killed Father Christmas. I knew that I was crying because my face was all wet. I tried to hold it in so nobody would hear me, but I must have made a crying noise. Why are you crying, Jojo? My sister Pooh-Face was standing by the side of my bed. She was hugging her teddy and they both looked sad. I'm not crying, I said. I've just got some onion in my eyes. That's what my mum always says when she's crying. Come on, Pooh-Face, I said, and I took her by the hand and led her out of the room. Let's get you back to bed. The sooner you go to sleep, the sooner Father Christmas will come. But when I said those words, I knew I was going to cry again, so I hurried back to my own bedroom. Well, now that I had killed Father Christmas, I knew that I wouldn't get any of the toys on my Christmas list. No robot, no race car, no helicopter that really flies, no anything. But that wasn't what was making me sad. What was making me sad was the hole in the world where Father Christmas used to be. A fat, happy hole with a big white beard and a smile in it. And that's when I had my idea. It was the best idea I'd ever had. Better than the time I made a parachute for my bedsheet. Better than the time I decided to live like a monkey for a week and only eat bananas and talk in monkey whoops and wear a monkey tail to school. If I had killed Father Christmas, then it was my job to fill up the hole in the world that he had left. That was only fair. I would have to be Father Christmas. I didn't have long to think up a plan. I didn't have any elves to make presents and wrap them up. I didn't have a sleigh or a herd of magic reindeer to deliver them. I was only a little boy. But every Father Christmas has to start somewhere. I could start right here, right now, in my house, in my street. First, the toys. I had a whole cupboard full of them from Christmases and birthdays long ago. My bulldozer, my building blocks, my baby books, my broken bits. I piled everything up. It was a lot of presents. I was going to need 2 pillowcases for sacks. I pulled the cases off my pillows and packed all the presents in. The pillowcases were heavy and lumpy. Perfect. I looked at myself in the mirror. I didn't look even a bit like Father Christmas. I looked like a little boy. That was rubbish. Father Christmas is a sort of superhero, and every superhero needs a costume. But I didn't have a costume except for my old Batman pyjamas, and that would be silly. I nearly gave up then. But I thought that Father Christmas never gives up. If he gave up, then the whole world would be sad all the time. So I did some hard thinking. The bushy white beard would have to wait till I grew up, and I'd have to eat a lot of dinners if I wanted to be as big and fat as Father Christmas. But I had an idea for the rest of my costume. I sneaked downstairs on my tiptoes. Creep, creep, creep. Mum and Dad had stopped fighting. I could hear the telly on in the living room. I went to the coat cupboard and found my mum's red coat. It looked a little bit like something Father Christmas might wear if it was dark and you half closed your eyes. It was so long it trailed on the ground, but that was okay. When I put it on, I felt a bit like a king in a play at school. I tiptoed back upstairs. I tied a big belt around the outside of the costume, just like the real Father Christmas. Now everything was ready. I was only going to be Father Christmas for our street, but I still had to plan it all out, just like the real Father Christmas. He couldn't deliver one present to Peru, then another to China, and another to Brazil. It'd be all over the place, and it would be Boxing Day before some children got their presents. First, I would go to the twins, Penny and Polly at number 7. They were the sort of girls who don't like dolls. They could have my old football. It was a bit floppy, but you could still kick it. Next, I'd go to number 9, where Samet lives. He's my friend. He could have my bulldozer. The shovel bit at the front didn't go up and down anymore, but apart from that, it was a top bulldozer. And then I'd visit number 14, where James Conway lives. He's my mortal enemy. But it's Christmas, so I would have to give him my best broken bits. At number 16, there was a baby. I didn't know its name, or if it was even a boy or girl. It was just a baby, so it could have my squidgy book with a picture of a carrot on every page. And then I remembered that at number 12 there was an old man called Mr. Grouch. That wasn't his real name, but that's what we called him, because he was always grumpy, as if someone had just stolen his sweets. No wonder he was always alone. But then I thought that maybe he was grumpy because he didn't have any sweets. I looked in my sweet stash. I had some good sweets, and some bad sweets, and some sweets that were just kind of okay. I got the bad ones and the okay ones and wrapped them up in a hanky. Then I unwrapped the hanky and put in half of my best sweets too. I put the sweets and all the other presents in the pillowcase sacks. They looked just right, bulgy and full and happy. I opened my bedroom window and climbed out onto the window ledge. Every Christmas I could ever remember had been grey and brown and rainy, but not this one. There was snow everywhere. It must have fallen when my mum and dad were fighting. Sneaky snow. Everything in the world that had been hard and straight and cruel was now soft and curvy and white. I tried to think of what the snow was as white as. A swan? A cloud? A glass of milk? No, it was no use. Nothing is as white as snow. I looked at the ground below. My plan had been to climb down the drain pipe, but now I knew that the snow would catch me in its soft arms. It would be like jumping into a giant marshmallow. That's what I hoped anyway. First I threw the big heavy pillowcase sacks out the window. They landed with a whoomph in the deep snow. Now it was my turn. 1, 2, 3, jump, I said. I meant to dive out of onto the snow, the way a penguin jumps into the sea. But all of a sudden, the ground and the snow seemed a long, long way away, and I was just a teeny tiny bit scared. So I decided not to dive out like a penguin after all. I turned around and climbed out until I was holding on with my fingers and my legs were dangling in the thin air. It was just then that I decided that being Father Christmas was a bad idea. It was so cold outside with all that snow, and my fingers were starting to go all tingly and numb. I decided that I would just climb back inside, put Mum's red coat back in the cupboard, and get into bed. Someone else could be Father Christmas this year. No, I had killed Father Christmas. I would be Father Christmas. I let my fingers slide through the slush on the window ledge. As I fell backwards into the night, I saw something appear in the window. It was Pooh-Face, my sister. She stretched out her pudgy little arm towards me. "No, Jojo," she screamed. "Bye-bye, Pooh-Face," I said, and I waited to hit the soft snow. Crash! It wasn't soft, it was hard and lumpy, and it really hurt. And it wasn't snow. I had landed in some kind of cart or bucket or wheelbarrow or... "Well, what have we here?" The voice was deep and gentle and happy, like a big friendly dog. I looked up into a face full of white hair. Well, to find out what happens next, you'll have to read the rest of the book. I Killed Father Christmas by Anthony McGowan. Hope you enjoyed that. Happy Christmas, everyone, and bye-bye.